Hey guys, so I've been seeing this video go around the internet a lot lately, only partly because I've been looking for baby names. Not looking necessarily, oh sorry about that, not looking necessarily, but just wanting to hear different names, people's different, like what they like, you know, what it means, things like that. So I'm going to do one here for you today. So this is my top 10 baby names that I love but will not be using. I'm going to do 5 girl names and it's going to be weird with the boys. I'm going to do 4 boy names that I love, and then the last one's going to be just a real quick like compilation of like these 3 names that I like but we won't be using. So the reason we won't be using some of these names is I feel like with some of my kids, I wanted these names so badly for them if they were a boy or a girl, that I feel like even though like one may be a girl and one may be a boy, like that is their name. Like both of those names are their names. So we wouldn't like want to name the other child that name. And then the other names that we love, or that I love, their dad didn't like. And then some of the other names that I did love, it was just like, they're not like popular, but people would be like, oh, you know, like it was just the translation didn't work and things like that, but you'll hear them. So I'm going to do my girls' names first, and then I'm going to do my boys' names. So my #1 pick for my girls' name is my absolute favorite girl's name. I've loved this name since I was a little girl. Since I think I was like 12 or 11. And I have notebooks of from when I was in high school that when I used to doodle in it, I would have this name. So that name is Georgia for a girl. Our first daughter name was actually going to be Georgia Grace, but her dad, he just couldn't get over the name Georgia. And I told you, you know, it's an old name. It's not common, but it's not common. I don't know how, if you like get that, like somebody here's like, oh, I've heard that name. I know like a Georgia. Everybody knows at least a George. Not a lot of people know a Georgia. So I was just like, I want to name her that, but we ended up not naming her that. And with my other kids, I'm like, no, I'm not going to name them that because that's her name. Even though that's not her real name, in my mind, like, that's her. Like, she's Georgia to me. So my second name that I love is Kala. Kala, the reason I liked it is because when I look baby names up in the computer, I always put meanings first. So then I could see, okay, I like this meaning. What other languages, like, what does it mean in other languages, right? So I saw Kala. I was like, wow, that is pretty. It's like Calla Lily, but Kala, it's C-A-L-L-A. So I have this thing where every child that I have, I put their name into Google Translate, and I translate in every language. And let me just, side note, the best one is French. I don't know how they pick a name because everything just sounds so beautiful in their language. I mean, absolutely beautiful. So I was going through the languages, and I'm Spanish and the dad's Spanish, and our family, we're all Spanish. We live in a Spanish neighborhood. Almost like all of our friends are Spanish. Even like our friends that are not Spanish, they grew up around a lot of Spanish people, so they know a lot of words. So Cala kind of looks like calle. The 2 L's sound like a J. It means street in Spanish, and it's spelled C-A-L-L-E. But it's C-A-L-L-A that I like, and we were like, we can't name her that because everyone's gonna think her name is Street. So even though we both love that name, it was just like, we can't name her that. So that was my second one. My third one is Savannah. Savannah is another name that I've loved since I was younger. So when I was young and I loved the name Georgia, I actually ended up moving to Georgia when I was about 13 or 14, and we lived close to Savannah. And I remember we went to visit one time. We were watching like an Irish group doing a dance, and it was this old Southern man, and he was talking about Savannah. Just the way he was saying it, and his accent, and just the way it came off his tongue, I was like, it's a beautiful name, Savannah. Like, like the way Savannah. And I always loved that name since I was younger, and it's actually was a contender for my second child, Savannah, and ended up we didn't use it, but that's my third name. My fourth name for a girl is Emery. So this name I accidentally stumbled upon only because their dad, my kid's dad, wanted to name one of our kids Emmerich, which I was just like, ugh. Emmerich sounds like a name that's passed through generations. It doesn't sound like a name that you would actually want to name your child, if you know what I mean. So I was like, okay, let's look what it means or whatever. So we went on the baby search, and it says, you know, names similar to Emmerich, but in girls, and it had Emery, E-M-M-E-R-Y. And at first I was like, how do you pronounce that? Like, you know, so I put it in the Google Translate and it said Emery. And I was like, wow, it just sounds pretty, like Emery. Like, Emery, come here. Or ven aquí, Emery. Like, it's beautiful. So that's my fourth one. My fifth favorite baby name is Antoinette, for a girl. I just think it's a beautiful, strong name. And mind you, these are all first names. Like, these are not middle names. These are like first name contenders. And Antoinette just sounds to me very regal, but you can approach her, and it also sounds like Antoinette, like down to earth, like Antoinette, come here, or Antoinette, or it just sounds beautiful, like just the way it rolls off the tongue. And in a lot of languages, it can translate. So it's a very, like, you know, worldwide name. It's beautiful. So those are my top baby names for girls, and I absolutely love them. And I don't think we'll be using any of those, because if we have another girl, I have the number one contender. But maybe if we have another girl after that, one of those would be it. Okay. So for my top boy names, number one is the same like Georgia. Anyone that knows me knows that this was going to be my firstborn son. It was either going to be Georgia or Sebastian. Sebastian to me is just a very strong, sweet name, and it translates so beautifully. Like, it could be Sebastian, 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 Sebastian. It translates so nice, and like, I just like the way it sounds. And everyone thinks, oh, you got it from Little Mermaid. No, I actually got it from the Never-Ending Story. When I first saw the movie, I was like, that's a really nice name, and it just always stayed in my head, like from when I was younger. And like Georgia, I have notebooks where I have Sebastian's name written, and I love that name. But with the first one, we ended up not naming. And then the second one, like I said, the weird thing was about the first baby is that, to me, when I look at her, she's a Georgia, or she was just going to be Sebastian. Like, those were going to be her names. Like, those are her names. Like, it's weird, but I feel like I can't name another kid that, like, it is not the same. So that's my favorite, number one. Number two is Draper. I love the name Draper. I know it's a surname, but I was watching this TV show, and in the TV show, for some reason, like the first couple of episodes, they were calling all the characters by their last name, but they were in a regular setting. So I was thinking, oh, that's a nice name. And then as I started watching the show, I realized it was his last name. But the way it sounded and the way Draper, like, it was just so, it sounded so nice. I was like, that's a really nice name. You know, if I have, you know, a son, that's going to be a contender. But their father was like, we don't really like it. It's kind of, you know, it's a surname, and one of our kids already kind of has like a surname for, like, a last name for a first name. So we already did that with one of them. And actually, a funny story is, our first daughter, the name we agreed on, he ended up, the reason he liked it is because it's the surname of somebody that he likes from another country, but he said he didn't tell me until after we had the baby because he didn't want me to know. So actually, both of our kids have last names that we use as first names. But the first one, her first name is actually like commonly a first name, but in the person that he was in love with, he likes, had as a last name. And then the name that I liked, it was a last name, but we used it as a first name because we liked the way it sounded. It was the only name we both were absolutely like, yeah, we do like this name. So that's it. The second one is Draper. The third one is Rhett. It's Rhett from Gone with the Wind. Rhett Butler, the character, obviously. That movie changed my life. Like, if you ever gonna watch a movie about women and what a woman has to go through, that movie was amazing. And Rhett Butler, like Rhett, when I hear that name, because I guess of the character, is the ultimate manly name to me. Like, this is like a strong, tall man's man, a guy's friend. Like, he was very honest, very truthful, very do what he had to do. And even though the character, like Scarlett's character, was crazy, he still, like, you know, stood by her side. Like, I don't know why that name, and it just stays in my head, Rhett. Like, I just love that name, Rhett. Like, this name is, I love. The fourth name is one of my pet peeves. So I feel like it's very rare you meet somebody and their name doesn't kind of match them. Like, you know, you have a baby, or your friend has a baby, you're like, oh yeah, that baby looks like a Michael, or that baby looks like Elizabeth, like whatever names. This name, I feel like it wouldn't match me, like as a mom to my kid. Like, they're like, why would you name your kid that? But I can honestly tell you, if I had 3 sons, because we already one, I don't know what this one's gonna be, and we're gonna pick out a name for this one. But if I was to have like a 3rd son, this I think would be his name, which is Fox. I think this name is, I just think this is ever since I watched X-Files, X-Files, and I heard Fox, like the way it sounds, I liked it. I definitely would give him a strong middle name, but Fox, I think it's a nice name, like Fox. Like, hey Fox, get over here. Like, it's just, I like the way it sounds. I like, Fox are very like sly creatures. Like, I don't know, the name is just nice. Like Fox, strong name, Ramos, whatever his last name would be. Like, even as Fox Ramos, like, I just think that's their last name. I just think that it sounds really nice. So if I ever had a 3rd son, or which I don't think so, I think it's our last, I would name him Fox. So the last names, like I said for the boys' names, the last names are funny because we were like, just as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I was just like, oh, I have all these names in my head that I've been playing with for the past like couple of years that I love. So he's like, oh, what names do you like? I was like, oh, I like the name Bruce. He was like, Bruce. I was like, yeah, it's a really nice name. It's old. He was like Bruce Wayne, and I was like, I guess, yeah, like Bruce Wayne, Bruce. He was like, how's that gonna translate with our family, Bruce? He's like, they're gonna be like, ¿Quién es Bruce? Like Batman? It's like, oh, see, Batman, Bruce, Batman. They're gonna call the baby Batman Bruce because that's what they would do to like try to like see how they could know the name. I was like, okay, no. So then, of course, Gone with the Wind, I liked the name Clark Gable. He's like, Clark, like Clark Kent, and I was like Clark, and I was like, no, like Clark Gable, the big movie star, Clark Gable, he played Rat Butler, and he's like, it's a nice name, Clark. I'm like, okay. So I was like, what about Leon? I was like, Leon Lex, he was like Lex Luthor, and I'm like, who? He's like Lex Luthor from Superman. I'm like, I guess no. And I'm like, what the heck is, I'm like, what the, and then I'm like, you know what? That's how they get these names for these superheroes. They pick these really strong, really nice names, and they name a superhero after them, and then you can't use them because it's like they're named after a superhero. Like, everybody famous, all the superheroes have really nice names. So I'm like, that's not right. But those are my top. Those are the number 5 names. So it's Leon, Clark, and Bruce. We love those names, but we're not using them because of the what they go to. So those are the names that I love that I won't be using, but I hope that I hope that if you hear them, you like them, and I hope people keep bringing more videos out there because I love hearing all these names. I do have one boy name picked out that I actually heard from my sister one time. She's gonna name one of her kids that, and my sister's done having kids, and I love it, but we're still like contemplating it. But I hope you enjoyed. Bye.